Sometimes I cry at movies. I used to be embarrassed by the tears, afraid that even in a dark theater, someone would notice that my emotions had gotten the best of me. But now I see my tears as a gift, even a sign of maturity. I'm actually glad I cry at movies. It's often very cathartic for me. Recently, I was thinking about this behavior of mine for two reasons. First, because it happened again the other night. When I had finished my day's work, I leaned back in the recliner in our TV room. I turned on the television and started watching a movie with an emotional ending. The main character resolved a lifelong search for his father when he met an elderly woman who had witnessed his father's last breath. Well, momentarily my eyes welled up with tears. The second reason is that I realized I also love to laugh, and therefore I enjoy watching repeats of my favorite sitcoms, like Frasier or Seinfeld. But I've come to realize that oftentimes these sitcoms, while they do make me laugh and you laugh, their humor can seduce us into an attitude of indifference. So now, what's the connection between my tears and this indifference that seems to be subtly cultivated by the TV we watch today? I think many sitcoms these days aim at being about nothing, and their characters dwell on the surface of their day-to-day lives. If we were to examine these shows more closely, we'd have to admit that it is not the issues the characters deal with, issues like relationships, employment, sexuality, parenting, aging. It's not these issues that are shallow, but it's the way the characters deal with these issues that make it shallow. Oh, sure, they make us laugh, but to tell the truth, no one goes through life acting as if it is about nothing and find happiness. You know why? Because we know that life is about something. We've all dealt with the same issues as Seinfeld, and we know that often they are not a laughing matter. If the point is to be about nothing, then nothing really has value, and then everything loses meaning. And believe it or not, such an attitude is the antithesis of hope. In many ways, gratuitous violence on the screen plays the very same dynamic. It's possible for us to see so much violence that the very existence of violence seems unreal, especially to children. But violence is real, as we have sadly witnessed several times recently in the last 2 months. Now, a movie or TV show can resolve its story in an hour or so, but the real kind of violence that lives in our world, it inflicts wounds, and those wounds can last a lifetime. I wonder if this isn't at the root of what Pope John Paul has called the culture of death. In other words, if life is about nothing, if we fall into the trap of living only on the surface of things, like these characters in the sitcoms, then human life in the womb, or human life afflicted with disease, or human life in its last years have no meaning. With such an indifference toward life, we can dismiss the life struggles we see on the news as easily as we change the channels on our TV set. The tragedy of it all is not just that we won't try to help where we're needed. The tragedy is that eventually, if we continue with this attitude, we won't even notice the need. You know, one of the humbling privileges of being a priest here at Our Lady of Perpetual Help, or just being a priest, is that people let you into their lives. They show you their desire, their hunger to be good. They reveal to you your struggle, the struggles that they go through in dealing with illness and anger and their search for God, their sorrow for sin, their need for guidance. And I realize that in letting me or any priest into their lives, what they're doing is that they are letting God in. They know that life is about something, and they deal with those somethings every single day. And a lot of times those somethings are not always funny. They come to God and they come to Mary for good reason, because they know that God and Mary give hope. They know instinctively that he who did not spare his own son, but handed him over for the sake of us all, will grant us all things. So following the Lord Jesus, and especially our praying constantly to Mary, gives us strength to bear witness to whatever comes. Because only God and Mary reveal the full and true meaning of human life. You know, I like comedies as much as the next person, and I continue to laugh at shows that continue to be about nothing. But I'm really glad that I sometimes cry at movies, because my tears flow from the fact that I know life is really about something. Certain scenes can suddenly seize my emotions and remind me of the lives of other people that have touched me in the same way. Of course, in the end, life is about someone. And that someone is the person Our Lady really wants us to know. Every time we gaze at her picture, she's presenting that someone to us. Behold my son, Jesus. And when we gaze at her compassionate eyes, and she gazes at you, she assures us of his abiding love. And in giving us that assurance, we experience hope. Do you want to know what the most powerful antidote to indifference is? Love. Love. And God is love. Pray to Mary that she will continue to show you that truth.